Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to introduce for you emergency and disaster preparedness plan, which is the one lecture of the safety unit in the King Abdulaziz University Hospital. We do this lecture for all the students, workers, visitors, staff, people to learn how to work or what you should do if there is any emergency or disaster. This lecture is prepared and organized by the Environmental Health and Safety in King Abdulaziz University Hospital. In this lecture, we're going to explain different kind of thing, which is first the emergency response team and hotline number, raise, bus, evacuation, and the assembly point, the internal and external emergency cover code. And finally, the drill or the fire drill, and how to do the fire drill. First, we're going to have some questions we're going to answer later on this lecture. First, this is the definition for the internal disaster, which is even happening within the hospital and case damage to the building of the hospital, injury to the patient and or staff. We needed coordinate support from different departments in the hospital. The most important part, we need, like say, immediate coordinate support from other departments in the hospital. This department is the immediate response team department. We have mentioned here, which is the security department, safety, maintenance, housekeeper, doctor from ER, respiratory therapy, and IT. All this team will come in any kind of disaster inside the hospital, and they support the department or the place where the disaster is to finish it or to stop it as soon as they can or as good as they can. So this is the example of different kind of disaster we have. One of them is the fire, critical utility system malfunction, chemical, or biological hazard. All this kind of disaster could happen in the hospital or any place around the area. This is a real examples happen in disaster happens in hospitals. This is different kind of disaster could happen everywhere. Fire, one of the dangerous one, is the most spread around all the world. Critical utility system malfunction. Chemical, biological contamination, hazard material distance. All this is example of kind of disaster or accident could happen in the hospital or everywhere around the hospital. If you have any problem inside the hospital building, you need help or you need support as an accident or as a disaster, you should dial 15555. You can call this number from any extension around the hospital building, and when you call this number, you should give him three important information, which is your name, where you are in the hospital, your place, location, and what's the time of problem you're facing. If you mention the color code, a code red, blue, orange, that will be okay. If you don't remember the problem, just let him know what's the accident is. Children disappear, there is fire, or there is other kind of problem. This number is working 24-hour day, 7 days a week, or any kind of disaster or emergency situation. So don't call for explanation, only for problem action. If there is any problem coming around you, there is a small shortcut for it, the emergency and disaster, which is GRACE. GRACE is a universal word for any kind of disaster or problem you have, and it is a shortcut for the plan. The plan is very huge, but this is the main action or the main way we should use it or we should do. R is securing the patient. We try to transfer the patient. A is alarm. C is confine the fire or the smoke, water. Finally, E is extinguish or evacuation. We're gonna raise it like I told you, it's a personal word, so we're gonna or any place around the airport, stadium, hospitals, schools, university, they use it for them if there is a lot of people or a huge number of people in one place action. So the first action is rescuing the patient. We try to transfer the patient from the hazard area to the safe area within the hospital. Some patients can move by themselves, and some patients need help from 1, 2, 3, or 4 person or worker to transfer him from the hazard area to the safe area. You should follow the exit sign. It will tell you where is the escape way or the emergency exit way. This is the first action. Second action, which is alarm, activation the alarm system. We have this kind of key in the hospital. Once you pull white piece down, so the alarm system will activate it, sound, light, and bell. When you activate the alarm system, it will not activate it for all the building, it only activated for your zone or for your area. Third action is confine, try to keep the problem in one place. For example, if it is fire, try to fight the fire by using the fire extinguisher or the fire blanket. If you can't control the situation, you should close the door. Where is the fire within? Close the room and keep the fire only inside. Don't stuck with the fire in the same room. Okay. After you close the door, you should put something wet under the door, like wet blanket, that will decrease the spread of the smoke, increase the spread of the fire around the building. If you face heavy smoke, or if it is black or white, you should cover your mouth and your nose with something with gloves, so that will decrease the breathing of toxic gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, cyanide. These gases will give you 3 minutes, after that you will be unconscious. If there is code red, or the alarm system is activated, you shouldn't open any door before you touch it by your backhand. So you will know the temperature behind this door. There is fire on it. The temperature is high. You don't have to open this door, and you should find other exit way to escape. The last action, which is E, that means extinguisher. Use the fire extinguisher to find the fire, or evacuate. You should evacuate with your patient from the hazard area to the safe area through the stairway, going to the lowest floor, or to the outside the building, or to the ground floor, or even outside the building if it is more or the most safe area. We finished with race. Now we're going to talk about BAS. BAS is the using of the fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher is very important to know how to use it. It is very easy to use it, but it's very important to know how to use it also. Use the fire extinguisher is summarized in a word called BAS, B-A-S-S, which is here also. So the first action is boil the safety ban. There is a safety ban in every fire extinguisher. You need little force to pull it out. Second action is aim the hose to the base of the fire. You should aim the hose of the fire extinguisher to the aim of the fire. The aim of the fire, where is the fire started actually. So it's like the plastic or the wood, which is the fire is attached to it. Don't flash or don't flame into the smoke or to the flame. That will not kill the fire. You should have to the base of the fire. Third action, you should squeeze. You should squeeze the handle of the fire extinguisher. Once you squeeze the handle, the powder or the water or the gas is going out of the fire extinguisher, and start fighting the fire. Last step, which is sweep. Sweep left and right as quick as you can. That will be help to fight the fire correctly or in the correct way. Fire alarm system. In the hospital, we have huge fire alarm system. The system is covering all the corridors, room, bathroom, and the store area. The system is working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is computer monitoring system. It is electronic system. Once there is alarm, once there is increase in the temperature or increase in the, when it is a real fire, there is smoke, the alarm system will activate it. So we have two kinds of detectors, smoke detectors and temperature detectors. We have hand the manual activated this system. All this information or data will transfer to the control panel. The control panel is in the ground floor, and there is guy here from the maintenance working here, staying here 24 hours to check all information. The alarm system will activate it automatically in less than 1 second, so there is light, bell, and sound in the area of the smoke or in the area of the decrease in the temperature. Fire alarm zone the home because the building is huge, so it's separated to different kind, to different place or different zone. Okay. Fire drill, we do like 100 fire drill in the hospital. Every department, clinic unit in the hospital, they do at least 1 fire drill every year. Evacuation. If there is any kind of disaster, we should have to evacuate the patient or the people from the hazard area to the safe area within the hospital or even outside the hospital. So we have two kinds of evacuation: horizontal evacuation and vertical evacuation. The horizontal evacuation is the first choice because it's more safe and easy for the staff to do. The horizontal evacuation will be in the same floor and it is transferred smoothly. For example, we are on the 5th floor, we should transfer from this right side to the other wing or to the left side. This is the called horizontal evacuation. Horizontal evacuation is more safe to the patient's life because it will be horizontally and easy for the staff to do it, easier than the vertical evacuation. To start the horizontal evacuation, you should take permission from the head nurse or any person high authorized and the head nurse in the hospital. Other kind of evacuation, which is vertical evacuation, transfer vertically from level to level or from floor to floor. For example, we are on the 5th floor, or the 5th floor, for example, is a hazard area, you should transfer to the 4th floor or to the ground floor. You should use the stairway to go down or to transfer from level to level. Don't use the elevator in the fire situation or in the fire. Vertical evacuation, you didn't do it until it is necessary because it's not that safe to the patient's life. It's not easy for the staff to do. To start this kind of evacuation, you should take permission from from the incident commander, the chairman of the emergency preparedness committee, or the safety manager. High authorized person in the hospital will allow you, will give you permission to start this kind of evacuation.
We'll talk about our assembly point inside the hospital. For our hospital, there is 3 assembly points inside the hospital and 7 assembly points outside the hospital. This is the logo of the assembly point. When we go to a internal assembly point, if you have something related to the weather, or heavy rain, or dust, or sun in the air, we'll go to internal assembly point. We have 3 internal assembly point and 7 external assembly point. What is the location of internal assembly point? Number 1, endoscopy. Number 2, the cafeteria. And finally, number 3, daycare unit. All this located in the ground floor. Now we talk about the external assembly point. We have 7 assembly points around the hospital. 1 outside the general clinic and the parking there. Here in this area, near the mosque. Another in the dental square. And another, number 7, outside the auditorium. And here the other location, outside ER. And outside, this outside ER. Here in the staff parking, number 2. Number 3, out in the visitor parking. Number 4, this outside the female cafeteria. And number 5, here number 4. Number 5 in the clinical parking. Number 6, Delta Square, and number 7, outside the retail. If we have problem inside the hospital, we can go to this 771.
Emergency color code. Here we're going to explain for you the emergency color code in the hospital, which is for all the hospitals around the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The color code, they use it as a secret word between the staff and the hospital. Once there is any kind of emergency, they announce in the color code. If it's real code or real disaster, they announce the color code in both languages, English and Arabic, and it is shortcut or short word rather than explaining the problem. They announce only the color code, which is given to the main. The first color code mentioned is code blue, which is cardiac arrest or somebody need for medical help. Code red is a fire. You can announce code red in 3 situations: if there is a smoke, if there is. So like we mentioned before, we have 12 color code. First color code is called blue. Code blue is a cardiac arrest or somebody need for medical help or medical support. Code red is a fire. If there is fire in the hospital or in the building. So we have 3 situations for the fire. If you see real fire, if you smell something burning, or if you see smoke and you don't know what is the source, you can announce for code red. For all of this color code, to announce it, you should dial, like we said before, the disaster or the extension, which is 15555 in the hospital. You tell him your name, where you are, and the color code we have it here. Code pain is a child abduction. If there is disappear for any children inside the hospital building, whatever the children is, baby or small children. Okay. Code pain, brown is utility, emergency utility failure. If they have a problem with the electricity, water, or the telephone number or internet, all this you can announce for code brown. Code black is a bomb threat or any terrorist action you suspect there is any wrong. There is a strange box with wire and watch that you announce for code black. Security will control the situation. Code white is aggressive person or aggressive behavior. If there is male or female shouting, start fighting, or using their hand, you should announce for code white. Don't attack them and react with them. Announce for code white so the security will come to control the situation. Code gray is severe weather. If there is any rain, heavy rain, dust, or flood, they suspected in the future, tomorrow or after tomorrow or after 2 hours, they're going to announce it for code gray. Code silver is a doctor, wherever he have gun or knife. They announce for code silver. Shouldn't go to this area and security will come to control the situation. Code orange is a spell. Whatever this spell, hazardous spell, whatever this spell is, chemical spell, biological spell, or radiological contaminated. So they announce for code orange. The spell should be used or big. They can't control it. It affected one department unit or more, so they can announce. So according to the size or the volume of the spell. Evacuation, it is evacuation for the department, one department or unit or one floor of the hospital according to the size the disaster happened in the area. Code yellow is external disaster. This color code is related to the ER department or emergency department. They receive a lot of victim people or dead people and they need help or support for trial in the trial process. They need help or support from the other department in the hospital. After you hear all this color code, you're going to hear code, all clear, or end of disaster. End of disaster or clear, that means the disaster will end it or finished. This is A quick review for the color code. So code blue is cardiac arrest, code red is a fire, code pink is a child abduction, code brown is emergency utility failure, code black is a pump thread, code white is aggressive person or aggressive behavior, code gray is weather, severe weather, or code silver is tractor, wherever shooter or knife attacker. Code orange is hazardous spill, whatever chemical, residential evacuation for the air department. Code yellow is external disaster. Finally, all clear is end of disaster or end of the situation. We have immediate response team. This team will control the hospital in the disaster situation, which is manage the hospital for 48 hours or more time. The immediate response team, this member or this team is in the hospital 24 hours, can find them, and they are responding very quickly to this kind of disaster or problem. After this people, they finish their controlling the situation, will come in the ERT team, which is the emergency response. Fire drill, we do, like I mentioned before, 100 fire drill around the hospital. The drill have different steps. The most important from the start of the drill until the end of the drill should be less than 3 minutes, which is time you need to evacuate the people and do most of this process. The fire drill is teamwork. All the members and the department, they should be attended and they should do some role, like shouting, code red, or they should call 155, or they should remove the oxygen cylinder, they bring the fire extinguisher. I mean, they should do something very important to control the situation. After you finish the fire drill with the trainer, there is some questionnaire they should answer. According to that, they will decide it. The fire drill is satisfied or not. If it is not satisfied, you should repeat it within 2 to 3 months. If it is satisfied, you can repeat it after 6 months to 1 year, according to your schedule or the situation.
This is the emergency telephone numbers inside the hospital if there is emergency case. This is the all departments. And this for smoke free inside hospital is belong to security. And this number from inside hospital, it's a disaster center. And this number from outside, if you call from outside the university. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Excuse me.
Yes, doctor.
I want to see the patient in bed 1, room 129. Can I please see his vitals?
Just a second.
Thank you. Code red, room 129.
I'll report the code. Code red, level 4, daycare, room 129, bed 1, Salman Thabit. What's going on, doctor?
Don't worry, we'll take care of you.
The event of a major fire in a healthcare facility is rare, but when it occurs, there is a greater potential for loss of life than in any other facility. The reasons for this are clear. Most patients cannot evacuate alone, whether because of their medical condition or age. Some may be confused by the alarm sound, scared by the smell of smoke, or may not know the best way out. Being in a hospital, it is very important that all members of the hospital staff are very comfortable with the evacuation policy. Not only the hospital, but also the floor they are on. We are here to protect and save people's lives. If we don't practice good safety habits, we risk putting our patients in danger. To protect patients, staff need to understand fire response procedures, including how to sound the alarm and get help, how to prevent fire and smoke from spreading, and how to conduct an evacuation. Evacuation plans are critical. All staff must know them well. Our healthcare facility has a written fire procedure describing what needs to be done in every part of this hospital. Understanding it is very important to keep everyone safe. In an emergency, conditions can change, and staff must still use their own best judgment in making decisions. Always remember that the priority is making sure the patients are safe. See that the patients are okay, their oxygen supplies are running, and so on. Do not turn off any oxygen supply. Only the head nurse is in charge of this. It is important for the staff to know what to do to act quickly instead of run to a manual. No matter what your job is, it is your responsibility to carry out what you must do in your part of the plan. Nurses, doctors, pharmacists, maintenance staff, porters, cleaners, kitchen workers, students, volunteers, everyone, all need to know how the plan works and what their role is. For people to act effectively under the stress of a fire emergency, response procedures need to be practiced regularly through regular drills. If there is a real fire situation, the staff will know what to expect. Drills tell you what the problem is, what you're supposed to do about it, where to go and when. The training has a benefit to everybody in the hospital. In case of an emergency, everybody from staff to patients and visitors will be evacuated from the hospital in the safest way possible. If a fire breaks out in this hospital, there are specific steps to take. Call out the hospital code word, code red, to alert other staff members. Activate the fire alarm. Evacuate anyone in immediate danger. Attempt to control or extinguish the fire if it can be done safely. Close doors to contain the smoke and fire. Once a fire has been contained to a room of origin and the door is closed, never reopen the door or attempt to extinguish the fire yourself. Evacuate the smoke compartment as instructed by the person in charge, whether it is the head nurse or the head of the environmental safety department.